Thanks everybody for attending. I know we're running a little bit late and I have the last session, but I'll hope to make it entertaining so that you don't fall asleep. Let me actually start off by saying I love getting questions at the end of the presentation. So start thinking about questions already. And if you think of something during the presentation, please let me know. Who here checks in on Foursquare? Good, good, good. Hopefully we can convince the other people who didn't raise their hand to do it by the end of this presentation. So I'm going to focus a little bit on talking about Foursquare's products from a user perspective, and then we'll talk a little bit about Foursquare from an advertiser and publisher and content creator perspective. So let's go. Do I have a clicker? Must be somewhere here. Here. I got it. Thanks. Cool. Let's jump right in. So I think a lot of people use Foursquare, and they use it for very different reasons and different things. We really think of Foursquare as the app that helps you to make the most of where you are and where you're going. And I hope you'll start to see why we say that, and I hope you're going to start to use it that way as well. So I'll give you some numbers about where we are right now in the world. We have 4.5 billion check-ins that have happened to date. And that's really cool data because we can use it for very interesting things. And I'm going to tell you more about that in the course of the presentation. We have more than, actually it's 60 million points of interest now. Points of interest are locations that users have created on Foursquare. And we have a really great database, so good actually that a lot of developers and startups are using our database. For instance, Instagram, Vine, Amex, loads of others, Flickr, etc. So if you're a startup and you need a location database, fear not. You can always use Foursquare's free-to-use API. We have more than 100 million photos, a lot of tips, which are mini reviews that people leave at locations. We have 40 million users globally. And Turkey, I'm proud to say, is the second biggest market for us after the US. So thank you very much, people. I really appreciate all your, yeah, you should clap for yourself. Exactly. We're really blown away with the enthusiasm that you bring for our platform and the fact that you're so engaged on it. We're super excited to be here, and I want to spend a lot more time in Istanbul because it's a beautiful city. And because you guys are so great. So we get more like around 6 million check-ins per day as well, and this is important as well, have 40,000 super users. These are people that are super dedicated to the Foursquare brand. They don't get anything in return. They go in, they clean up the venues, they clean up the database, they make sure that everything is okay on the platform, and we're really excited that they have so much passion for us. So let me tell you a little bit about how, in the beginning, people perceived Foursquare. They said, why should I check into places? This is such silly stuff. Why would anybody need to check into places? I mean, you guys get it. I don't have to tell it to you. But a lot of people are very skeptical about this, and they don't see the utility of it. Now, I think it gets really clear after the next slide why this is really powerful stuff. This is the first time that anybody's seeing this video, by the way, so you're getting a little exclusive here. So this is a present. I don't know if I can run the video. Can you guys help me out with running the video? There we go. Okay, so these are all check-ins in 24 hours in Istanbul, visualized on a map. And the cool thing about this is you see the different categories. We're going to run it a couple times, please. So you can see on the left the different categories. And you can see that the category on the bottom, the cyan green, is transport hubs. Then you see food places. And then you see it's getting late at the top. It's 11 p.m. and everybody's going to nightlife spots around the river and in the city center. Can you run it again, please? So the cool thing is, one more time, please. Thanks. The cool thing is you really get an idea of the pulse of the city, right? This is like the heartbeat of Istanbul. People are checking into work right now. And now it becomes noon. People are checking into food spots. You see the greens there. and then people checking into the outdoor places by the river. As it gets later, people start checking into red places, which are residences. They check into their homes. And as it gets a lot later, you see people checking into nightlife spots by the river. So this is why people need to check in, because we can really get a lot of interesting data and create valuable insight for you based on this data. And I hope to show you that we're trying to give you a lot more value back for your check-ins. So let's talk a little bit about the product. Foursquare is really gone through a transition, I think. I think one thing that we didn't do well from the beginning is put a good search engine right at the top to show you that Foursquare is a tool that is a local this directory, right? It's a local directory for you. And the benefit of the local directory that we have is that we have all these check-ins to power the search in it. What's so different about Foursquare? If we, let's say, all search for the same term, let's say restaurants right now on Google Maps or any other search service, we'll probably, I think with Google Maps maybe has changed now, but we'll probably get the same results, right? You have a ranking of locations determined by proximity. What Foursquare has done is really personalized local search. So what we do is we take all these check-ins that we have, and we crunch them with our algorithms, very smart algorithms, and we figure out, okay, which places are popular in the city in general, right? That's great, we know that. But we also know which places are popular for you based on the places that you've been in the past. I'll give you an example. I like sushi, and I kind of like swanky cocktail bars, like a little bit experimental cocktail places. So Foursquare knows this about me, and every time I go to a new city and I ask Foursquare for a recommendation, it will give me places that are similar to those. If I want to look for something else, I can obviously do that too on Foursquare. And the cool thing is, I come to Istanbul, and we're going to a steak place tonight, and I already checked out the place on Foursquare, and I see that a friend of mine has been there, and a friend has left a tip there telling me what to eat. So it's a social way for me to validate whether a place is good or not. And that's, I think, the real power of this directory. It's personalized, it's social, and I really encourage you to use it and give us some feedback on how you like it. One other thing that we're really proud of, that we launched a couple of weeks ago, and it's not live for everybody yet, we're rolling it out slowly on Android, is the new version of Foursquare. So when I talk to my mom, and I tell her about Foursquare and about checking in, she kind of gets it. She really likes following my career and knowing what's going on, but she doesn't really use Foursquare. And I understand that. I mean, she's just not really into checking in as much. But we want to build a product that is also valuable to her, right? And that's when all these check-ins come in, and all the tips and the images that you leave on the Foursquare platform come in. So let's imagine my mom downloading Foursquare and walking around the city, and she sits down in a cafe, and all of a sudden, her Android phone, currently Android, we want to bring it onto the iPhone as well, obviously, and other platforms, sends her a little notification saying, hey, it looks like you're at this restaurant. There's a tip here by a Foursquare user that is very popular that says you should try this and that. All of a sudden, we have a review or recommendation engine that is working in the background to do the work for you and push you interesting notifications about what's good in a place. This happens without checking in. So this is really a valuable tool for everybody, not only for the people who like to check in, right? And this is, I think, the future of Foursquare, and we're really excited about this. I think one thing to mention is these services usually drain a lot of battery, but this version of it took a lot of work, believe me. But we are now, I think, committed to say it's not going to drain more than 1% per hour. And over the course of a day, it's like a 20-minute Angry Bird session on your phone, right? And the cool thing about this is it's really valuable and hopefully give you some good insight. Cool. So what can you do today? I'll talk to you a little bit about the tools that we have for retailers, for brands, and for publishers. The cool thing about Foursquare is if you go to the trouble of building a direct relationship with Foursquare and you're a retailer with physical locations, the cool thing is that you'll get access to statistics about real-world activity in your stores that people are creating on their mobile phones, right? you see the dashboard here. We can tell you things like how many people have checked in the last week, how many people of those were in which age group, how many people were male, female, how many people were new customers versus customers that have been there before, how many people shared their check-ins to Twitter or to Facebook. How viral is your location, so to say. So this type of stuff is super exciting for retailers because traditionally they had to have somebody in front of the door and click, 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 click to make sure they count how many people are going to the store, or they had to do put cameras up, and this is a really good way to get some interesting statistics. And by the way, this is completely for free. Another thing that we've done is we've introduced an ad format that is called the Promoted Update. And we launched this about a year ago in the US, and I'm proud to say Turkey is the second market in the world that we're actually launching this in. And by the way, launched it already. We had a great launch event yesterday, and the campaigns have been live for a while. This ad format works in the following way. If you're a business and you have a physical location, and I'm a Foursquare user, and I'm walking down the street and I'm opening my Foursquare to find out where my friends are, for instance, I can see promoted updates or a message basically from this business that is targeted to me specifically. I'll give you an example again. If you like fast food and you've been to a lot of fast food places, we would give you recommendations for fast food places. We would not give you recommendations for other places. So on Foursquare, the ad format works very similar, that we look at your past history and make sure that the ad is very relevant to you. It's not only geo-targeted, but it's also relevant to your tastes. And then when you see this ad, if you essentially click on it or end up checking into the store, the advertiser will pay us. So it's basically based on a cost per action model rather than a CPM. So only when you deliver value, you will be, as an advertiser, will pay. To look at this specific example, we have Godiva, which are one of our launch partners, Ülke. And I think this one says, and you might be correcting me if I say this wrong, but the message is on the left in the search results at the top. I don't know what they're searching for here. I think it might be a location. And it gives you essentially a little promoted message at the top saying, hey, you can get a free coffee if you check in there, right? And this is, again, and I think it's very similar to the Blipper presentation before, really a way to merge the digital world with the real world, right? We're trying to create customers for you that are on the mobile phone around your stores to get into your store and actually start paying money. So bridging the mobile and the offline world, essentially. We launched it, as I mentioned, this ad format here in Turkey, and we're really proud to say that we have some excellent launch partners lined up. I think the presentation might be stuck. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So I'm proud to say that these guys have believed in us and believed in this format, and we launched this ad format again very recently, and we're very happy to kind of push this out as well. We're working with an excellent agency, if I may say, the guys from Public. They're representing us over here and doing a great job. So if you're at all interested, please reach out to these guys. One thing that is coming down the line, and I think this is really, again, cool because it's a very new, modern ad format. We launched this recently, is essentially what we call a post-check-in ad. Imagine you go to a bar, and while you're standing at the bar waiting for the waiter or the bartender to give you a drink, you check in, and all of a sudden you get a message from Captain Morgan. You see on the left, after the check-in, it gives you a little message here, and if the user is actually engaging with the ad, again, on a cost per action model, clicks on the ad, and then they get a little message from Captain Morgan. In this case, it was about convincing people to try a new cocktail, which is essentially a Captain Morgan cocktail. If you like that, you can click and save it for later, and you'll get an email with the recipe for the drink, right? So again, we're trying to get people to see more interesting ads that are contextually relevant to them. If you find yourself in a bar, obviously it's a great place to see an ad for Captain Morgan, right? And there are not really that many ways anybody else can target consumers in that way, customers in that way. We've seen amazing conversion rates and really a lot of engagement on the format. And we hope to bring this to Turkey soon as well. I'll talk a little bit about something that is interesting for content publishers and people that have essentially a lot of review content or want to have an opinion about location. Foursquare, as you know, has a lot of venues, and you can leave tips at those venues. You know, my friends leave tips at places when they like something or when they dislike something. You as a brand can have a voice in those places. And the amazing thing about that is that you can gain mindshare in a place where you don't have authority otherwise. I'll give you an example. Vogue, for instance, has left tips at cool cafes and cool restaurants and created city guides, right? So if I'm really a person that likes Vogue and I like the Vogue lifestyle and I read Vogue magazine, look, I'm going to go on the Foursquare page for Vogue, like them, and then every time I go to a city, I can see the places that Vogue has recommended, and I can go and actually read their content. And they could give me recommendations in terms of what to eat, what to do, what to say. And it's really a way for you to extend your brand into the real world. It's very different from Facebook and Twitter in a way, because if you do a post on Facebook and Twitter, it will disappear after a while in the endless stream of updates. On Foursquare, that content will stay there, and you will always be engaging people who go to that location. So it's a little bit of upfront work, but it always continues to pay off. It increases in value only. And this is another example. So you can actually create lists on Foursquare to essentially create guides. This is a good example. 12 classic New York pizza joints. I've been to 7 of them. And I can say the list is really good, and I'm looking forward to go to the next 5. So there are really not that many content publishers that we've worked with here in Turkey yet. We hope to get a lot of people excited about this and get more local content onto the platform. I mean, we have a lot of partnerships in the pipeline for you. So I hope we'll keep you engaged, and we'll get you some new features and interesting things over here. So I think in summary, I would like to say, this is just the beginning for us in Turkey, and in general, I think Foursquare, Dennis, our CEO, always says, you know, we haven't even started yet. And I think we really went from a very niche product, and we're making it broader and broader, and the utility is only growing with every check-in. So please go download the app, try it out, and check in, because it benefits everybody. So thanks a lot, and I'd love to take some questions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? There's one question.
Awesome.
Mikrofon verebiliyor muyuz? Ben buradan yardımcı olayım mı? Ben yardımcı olayım. Boşuna beklemeyelim. Daha kolay iş.
I can repeat the
Buyurunuz.
question. Yeah.
No problem. Yeah.
Okay, you told us that you roll out the new versions, new features of the Foursquare, firstly on the Android platform,
yes,
on Google Play Market. Why you did not choose the App Store instead of the other, popular applications?
Okay, you mean, so why do we choose Android over iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So one thing that we try is to spread the love. We sometimes launch something first on Android, sometimes we launch something first on iPhone, and we try to keep all our users happy in a way. In this specific case, the technicalities in the background to build a thing that always listens to your location, checks whether you're moving, which areas in the city you're moving to, crunches algorithms in the background and looks at your previous check-in history, and then finds good recommendations for you without draining much battery is very complicated. And I think it was easier to do this on Android first, and that's why we chose Android first. It's completely in our interest to do this on iPhone as well, and we're hopefully going to launch that soon too. By the end of the year, I hope we'll really have everybody on it, and you can try it out. So I'm excited to get some feedback from you guys once it's live. Any other questions? There's another gentleman over there.
We have a mic now. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
We have a taxi calling app called Taxi. It's like Uber of Turkey. Okay, as an advertiser, if I want to use your platform, how can I use it? Because, my customers are all around. They're mobile.
Yeah.
The taxis are mobile. Is there a way I can use your platform?
Yeah, so is it an application?
Yes.
You can download the app?
It's like Halo or Uber.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So there are a couple of ways you can work with us. One is if you want to actually build a location-aware part into your application, you can use our API, one. Two, in terms of advertising, Where do people definitely need to cabs? At airports, at train stations maybe?
No,
right?
everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So I know everywhere, but I think it's going to be really hard for you to advertise everywhere. At least maybe you have a big budget, I don't know. But if you pick a couple of spots like airports and let's say train stations, you could run those post-check-in ads that I talked to you about at those places. And when people check in, they'll see this ad, and if they click on it, you can then see, oh, okay, my tax cool, I should probably download this application. So that would be a great example, actually, of using the post-check-in ads once they're here.
Thanks.
Sure, you're welcome. Anybody else? I like that at this time of day, you're still active to ask
There's
questions.
one more
That's cool.
question, I guess. Over there.
Hello, SR, Business Development Manager, Team Up.
Hey.
I have a question about right now, since the penetration rate is so, I would say, in your model, there will be always people who will be worried about the privacy, right? As other services.
Always,
when the penetration rate moves beyond 50% or whatever in any market, do you have any specific plan for the other users who's gonna, hesitate to still subscribe to any kind of service like Foursquare?
Good question. So let me start with the privacy part, and I think it's important, and I'd love to kind of spend at least a minute on this. Privacy is super important for us. It's one of the things that we always say internally. We want to build a product that we use ourselves. And to be honest, privacy is important to me. I don't like post pictures of myself on Twitter and things like that. So we're all in the same boat, and that's why you pretty much have like a triple opt-in until you share your location with the whole world, right? First, you have to choose a location. Second, you have to then type in something. And then you have to hit the button, share to Facebook or to Twitter. And then if you just want to share on Foursquare, you just have to hit the check-in button. What we see is that a lot of people have less friends on Foursquare than they have on other platforms. I don't think that's only because we're a smaller network. I think it's also because location is just something more sensitive for people and they don't like to share it as much. So a lot of my friends only have 5 friends on Foursquare. These are their best friends, and they don't mind sharing the location with them. If you have a problem with sharing your location with Foursquare, that's a different story, and we hope we're going to build a trust with you so that you feel comfortable with it. I always like to use the example, you're sharing your location with your mobile carrier all the time. You share a lot of private information with your credit card that probably knows more about you than your girlfriend might do, right? So there are definitely places where we trade value, essentially for privacy with value. And we hope that we're going to build a value proposition that is going to be good enough for you so that you actually feel comfortable about sharing your location. Now, you don't always have to check in though, as I mentioned. You can use the Foursquare application, download it, put it on your phone, and then just when you're going to a restaurant, look at the reviews that people have left there. Or you can go to our website, and you can use it, by the way, without logging in, to look at really good places that are popular in Istanbul and find and plan your trips. So in that sense, we do offer something for somebody who doesn't want to log in and have a trace on Foursquare. I hope that answered your question. There's another gentleman back there if we have the time.
There's one more question orada. Yanınızda.
Hi, Saif Erol from americadenista.com. When you check in, actually you give a very important information.
I'm a big fan of your websites.
Thanks. We're a big fan of Webrazzi too.
Love is in the air.
When you check into a place, you give very important information to Foursquare. So does Foursquare have a vision to enter into other fields? Like I checked into a restaurant, you know that I'm in that merchant, and after the meal I'd like to pay for my food, right? Would I use Foursquare to pay for that? Or I walked into a store, let's say Gap, you know I checked in at Gap, will you show me merchandise offers from it? Plus, when I purchase something, will you give me a chance to share it with my friends on Foursquare? I mean, is there a specific vision where Foursquare wants to go, like a payment system or like a experience sharing platform? Or will we see different kind of things coming into Foursquare like this?
Thanks for the question, really good question. And we have an open position for a product manager if you want to join. You have some really good product ideas. So a couple of things here. One, I think location is a hard problem to solve as it is. So we're really trying to focus on location, and we're not trying to go super broad with everything. Payments is a very complicated space, and we believe that the best payment methods are really credit cards, because everybody uses them, everybody has them. So what we've done is we work with American Express in the US. You might have seen this, some of you. It works the following way. When you have American Express and a Foursquare account, you can sync them up. And once you do that, your Foursquare experience will slightly change. You'll actually see offers that merchants have done with American Express. And I'll give you an example. For Nike, for instance, you could spend more than $100 and get $20 back, right? So what happens is you see this offer on Foursquare, you then click on it and you save it. So American Express now knows that a Foursquare user has seen an offer and has this American Express credit card number. They click on that and then they go into the store and they just pay with their credit card. And once they pay with their credit card, they get the discount automatically, right? So they get a little notification from Foursquare saying, hey, congratulations, you just saved $20 because you spent more than 100, and this is done with American Express in the US. We've also done this now with Visa and MasterCard in the US, which is pretty cool. And we hope to be able to roll this thing out globally at some point. It's not a trivial problem. Payments is a lot more complicated than one would think. And we'd love to do this anytime soon if it works. So yeah, thanks for the question. It's good.
I think no more questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Omid.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.